Ivan Müller was a remarkable young man. He was born in Estonia, really out in the boonies, so to speak, but by the age of 18 or 19, he was playing professionally in St. Petersburg, and he played in a number of cities, played clarinet, and he especially liked to play the basset horn. Well, Müller wasn't just a very talented, precocious young man, he was also a thinker. And one of the things that he really liked to do was improve anything on the clarinet and make it better. For instance, the metal ligature that was used for so long and so successfully by so many players, Müller invented the metal ligature and disposed of the string and the wire and all the stuff that people used at that time to hold the reed on. But he also did something else. He was interested in making the clarinet play equally and evenly in all keys. And this would require the addition of keys to the clarinet. At that time, the clarinet had 6 keys, and it was pretty much limited to six keys. Why is that, you ask? I'm glad you asked, because the pads on the clarinet did not seal very well. That's why the clarinet was limited. Now, how does that happen? Well, at that time, if anyone's seen any really old clarinets, you'll see that the keys don't really cover the tone holes like our clarinets do today. The keys were covered by a layer of soft leather that was attached to a flat brass kind of square, and the leather didn't seal very well at all, so the clarinet would leak. Well, when you put 6 tone holes on the clarinet, and every one of them is leaking, that causes inefficiency to the point that you're almost at the breaking point. So the clarinet, if you add more keys than that, the clarinet is going to leak unbearably. It's going to be very uneven in response. It's going to be stuffy in the long pipe notes, and so on and so forth. So, therefore, the limitation. Well, Müller found a workaround. He created the traditional key cup that we have today as well. And the key cup was to hold something that we also still use today, and that is a pad that is covered with various coverings, leather or skin or whatever, and it was stuffed with felt. And then the felt would come down on the tone hole and then press into the tone hole and create an airtight seal. And this made a clarinet with more keys possible. And he created that clarinet and began to perform with it, and people were amazed at how much better it was. It played more evenly, it played better in tune, it played more fluidly, and the clarinet player had a lot more facility. Well, he thought, I've got to hit the big time, so I'm heading off to Paris. And exactly what he does is he gets a patron to fund him, and he starts making clarinets, and he goes to the Paris Conservatory. And his big plan is to get the approbation of the experts at the Paris Conservatory, and on that, he would build a great clarinet empire, so to speak. Well, things didn't quite work out the way that Müller wanted. The cognoscenti in the Paris Conservatory were not impressed at all with Müller or his clarinet. He said, why not? It plays equally well in all keys. They said, that's just the problem. It plays equally well in all keys. We hate your clarinet. We like our old clarinet here with the 6 keys because we've learned how to nuance and color all those things that are defective in the instrument and sort of use them as expressive devices in many of the pieces that we play. We spent years and years working these techniques out. So we're deeply invested in this clarinet, this style of playing, this way of teaching. And they rejected his clarinet. Well, that was kind of a difficult time for Müller because basically it meant he didn't have the endorsements he was looking for, couldn't do the promotion that he wanted to do, and he had to actually halt production in his clarinets. But that didn't stop him. He decided he would turn to those people who weren't the super experts, but who were very good clarinet players, and there were lots of them, lots more than the experts sitting at the top of the clarinet food chain. He went to the French military bands, and he demonstrated his clarinet, and people went crazy over it. They loved it. They adopted the clarinet, and By the time of 1820, it was the dominant clarinet in France and actually throughout Western Europe, and remained so into the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. His system eventually evolved into what we call the Ur system, or the Deutsch system, or the German system clarinets today. I think they're also related to the Albert system too. But anyway, his clarinet won over the experts. And if the experts had been listened to, we'd be playing those 6-key clarinets today. Are there any parallels to Mueller's experience in the early 19th century today? I say that there are parallels all over the place. And the reason is because human nature is the same as it was at that time. It hasn't changed. And what human nature does is it tends to want to justify what it's done. It wants to say that what it has invested all its effort and time and expertise in is the best and finest thing. Well, that's not always true. And especially with the experts who are committed, who have an image to preserve, the experts are often the slowest to change because they have the most to defend. But for the rest of us, who are not the experts, who are not at the top of the food chain, what we need are the best clarinets that we can get. Now, as far as paradigm change goes, I'm not sure that hard rubber clarinets are the paradigm change we're looking for. But I am sure that hard rubber clarinets are pointing the way, and they are demonstrably superior to wood clarinets in one category after another, and it can be empirically verified. So let me encourage you, if you're looking for a wonderful playing clarinet, let me encourage you to look into hard rubber clarinets with the proper designs, with the proper finishing and everything. These instruments have few other instruments that can even match them in terms of tuning, tone, response, stability, and consistency, which is a very, very important item that you very seldom hear anyone talk about when it comes to wood clarinets, except in the most negative of terms, because wood clarinets have been notoriously inconsistent in production. So that's the lesson of the old and the new, of the winds of change, and a paradigm change. And this is something I hope that you will give an honest and objective consideration to in the coming year. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful new year.